what's my password? Oh.
Open sesame.
Yeah.
Look on Bunny Foot.
It's like, how do you remember all the passwords and everything you do nowadays?
And kind of like the Joseph on the deal where the guy answers the phone and the guy in there says, you know, we got all your passwords, all your stuff. Good, give them to me, I can't remember.
Thank you. I've been looking for those.
No kidding. That's pretty funny. Josh, when he was like in 4th grade, he's like, what's your password? I said, I'm not telling you. There's stuff on there I don't want you necessarily snooping around in. Pretty soon he comes out and tells me my password. Within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He figured it out.
Yeah.
But you-
So then the next one, it took him about 2 days. Had spaces and all kinds of stuff in it. We still figured it out.
Hacker.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what he knows.
Yeah, he kept always used to tell me, you need to learn this, Dad. I said, no, I don't. I just need to know you. You know?
That's true.
What's going on?
Catching up on your meds?
Oh, just delete. Just delete the quarantine.
Oh, yeah. That's annoying.
I stopped even looking at it. At first I was like, is there anything I'm missing? But now.
All right, the time has come. I'll call this work session to order. And the discussion tonight is discussion about deferred maintenance on our city buildings. And I will turn the floor over to Anthony and Tom.
Okay. I would like to start, first of all, in the Rawlins Family Recreation Center. And before we go on, I just want to make sure that we're understanding that there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done. And in the past, it wasn't, not on every machine or building, but many of them. And we're past the end of life on a lot of these machines. And some of them are obsolete. Some are not even being carried by the manufacturer no more. They're not supported, and when I call them, they're like, it's time to buy a new one. And we're actually making things work out, like making our own gaskets and such. But the first picture I have here are the pumps. I put this in the beginning because of the dire need for that pump. Where that yellow track is at, it's just catching water that we can't seem to stop because of our gate valves that are old. They're just past end of life. They can't shut the water totally off, so we have to put some kind of device there to capture that water to go to the nearest drain. That's what we did. We got most of the water off. Now you can see around there it's dry. These pumps are identical. They're obsolete. I've talked to the vendors, and they're no longer available, but we do have one that's similar to that, and it comes in what we call a rack, and we're able to change them out and put them in. I think this is it for that one.
And these are just circulation pumps?
These are the circulation pumps for our hydronic system, for our heating system. And so my concern is that they're both put in at the same time. The one that I showed you that picture of, that one there, it's totally gone. I can't find parts for it at all. It is obsolete, and it's not just a special circulator pump, it's called an end pump. And so it has a couple of special parts that go with it for flow and for backflow so that we don't get water hammer. So those are two other things that we need for it. Now, that one there is the second one that is working, but it's the same age and it's already showing wear and tear on it. It's just, they haven't been abused, they're just end of life. They're used it's time to change them out. There's nothing else we can do for them. I mean, they're really
Are they the originals to the
they
building?
are the original, yeah. So they're 30 plus years old, 32 years old, something like that. And they did a great job when they were there, but it's time to change them out now. There's nothing we can do with that. Let me see here. There is, if you look up on top, you see that gray cylinder. That is a chemical container that we use to put chemicals in our water, which are rust inhibitors. What I would like to see in the future soon, hopefully, is put a glycol system. There's only 3 buildings that use glycol system, hydronic systems: police department, rec center, and city hall. And they're all regular water. They all have chemical containers for rust inhibitors, which is fine, but we really should have been putting in glycol in there to save. I know in times past when I was repairing some of these, as I was going in and repairing a lot of little things here and there, I noticed there was some breaks because of maybe freezing, maybe a valve didn't shut off right, or it closed instead of staying open. We want them to normally stay open so the water can flow through. If there is ever a problem in our BAS system, the building automated system, and they weren't, so they froze and broke. And they replaced them, but there was no glycol. There's not even a glycol system. They just use a chemical bath with rust inhibitors, which is fine for the pipe. We have still pipe, but it's not great if we ever have a problem and we have freezing. We're gonna burst more pipes and cause more water damage.
Are these pipes that this runs, are they internal, or are they against the outside
No,
walls? or-
everything's internal. Everything's internal, and if you see that white around there, that's all insulation, and it's about 1.5 inches. It's adequate insulation, and it's per code, that's what should be there. And it's a lot throughout the building now. Some of it's gone, where some of the repairs were not, I would say, not repairs, they just put a Band-Aid on it, but it never came back later on to do the right repair. So there's some sections of maybe 1 foot or 2 of insulation that's missing. But everything is internal, everything is indoors.
But nothing's running against, say, the ceiling or a foot from an external
There
wall?
are some that are running on the ceiling and next to a wall, perimeter walls, but they're well insulated and there's heat inside there. If we lose a heater, there could be problems if the pumps ever stop and there's glycol and they're not running, yeah, then we could have problems. But we try to walk through the buildings every day just to visually look at things and make sure we're okay.
I know the only safe way is with the glycol, but
Yeah, that would be the best bet.
then if
Why
all
they
the
didn't do
heat
it, I don't
quits,
know.
then it still don't freeze.
Exactly, it's like you're radiating your car.
Yeah.
It's the same stuff, you know.
Owned a car wash.
There you go. That too. Yep. That's just pictures showing our custodian Steve called me and said, "Hey Anthony, the water was leaking, so this is what I did." He made this little contraption to catch the water, and it works. So a lot of that water, you can see the stains. It was going into the other rooms, and we had just put new carpet in that rec center. So this helped a lot and dried it up. So that's what that is. The picture. That's just showing where it goes into a funnel. That's some more of that. That's just showing the hose going into the drain there. And it did work because it's all dried up now. It's still leaking, but it is working. So I just told them, good job, and just leave it until we get it fixed. This is the generator, Cummins generator. It's existing. It's been there since the building was up. We have problems with that, with the valves, gaskets leaking and stuff is starting. It's at its last leg, it's end of life. This is one particular generator that is no longer being serviced, or the Cummins manufacturer told me, literally, it's time to get a new one, Anthony.
How many hours are on this?
You know, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. There's not a lot of hours on it, but it's no longer serviceable. We can't even find parts. I even went on the internet to see if I could find some. We couldn't find gaskets for it. We had to go buy a sheet of gasket and then cut it out ourselves to make it work. It lasted about 3 or 4 months, and then it started leaking again. So it just leaks, and we just keep an eye on it. It works, But there's no more parts for it. It's just obsolete. They are no longer servicing it. Cummins is no longer servicing it. So I don't know where else to find parts. We had the mechanic, Nick, look through it as well, and he got the same results that I did. So it's pretty much done now. If it does burn out, the motor, piston, whatever, the only thing we can do is try and take it into a mechanic to have them service it, do the head job or whatever needs to be done, and if they can find parts for it. That's where we're at. And Cummins is no longer making parts for it unless we find some kind of aftermarket somewhere, which we looked. It's just an old motor now, and like I said, I know there's not a lot of hours because it does come on for 30 minutes once a week on Mondays. That's it. I talked to Lou about this, perhaps changing it to a natural gas, because we have a 3-inch gas line there, and everybody, Public Works, the City Hall, both fire departments and police department all use natural gas generator, backup emergency generators. What I don't like about this is that we have an underground storage, 550 gallon diesel storage tank. And that system is the same as the one at the hospital, but the hospital's like 10,000 gallons. And that one ruptured, and it's just a matter of time before ours does, and then that's gonna cause other problems, more money as well to maintain. And then if we can switch over to that natural gas, we can eliminate that. We don't need a license anymore to operate it, because as long as we have an underground storage diesel tank, we have to be licensed to check it every couple weeks, or every week and then every month. And then yearly, we have to have an outside entity come in and then pass it, make sure everything's fine, and make sure we are keeping up on our paperwork, and we have someone who's licensed to do that.
And the insurance, the underground tank insurance?
Yeah, we
stuff.
pay $200 or $400, I believe, a year just for that. You know, that would eliminate all of that.
Chris
And-
had a question.
The generator, it sounds like the generator end of this is still good, just the motor end is the one leaking. So is there a possibility you can just upgrade the motor to a natural gas motor with an attachment to that generator end?
You know, I would have to see that, if they even can do that. What I've been looking at is just, they get an updated one with updated controls, 21st century controls and everything. And that is also with a transfer switch, because the transfer switch is also older and it's different. We got some prices on that already, and I know Tom will talk to you about that. But that's one thing I'm not sure of. This comes in what's called a sled, so it's all just one piece comes in, and then it's like a plug and play. And that's what we've been finding out. A lot of other things, they just plug and play, put them in, and we're done. But I haven't found anybody can replace the update motor. How does that work with the controls? I'm not sure. We
So-
just want to get rid of it because of the diesel, plus we can't find parts for it anymore, and that's a problem.
That's one reason I was asking if they could just put a new end on it, a power end, right? Not the generator end, because I know that they can do that. I don't know cost and analysis on that.
Yeah, I know, I don't know, I didn't check that out. We just went with basically the same, because it's inside, it's not outside, so we looked for something that was similar with the specs and the size of the unit, so it could fit in there. We wouldn't have a problem removing it and putting it in. And that's what we went with.
So then this would go to a surplus auction?
It can, if somebody can probably cannibalize it, I would think. I don't see anything wrong with the motor right now. It's just the gaskets and the outer peripherals we're starting to lose them. And those are the parts we're having a problem finding. We went to aftermarket, we couldn't even do that. So what we did was just find a sheet of material and made our own. It took us a little while, but we were able to make one, but it didn't last long. I think it lasted 3-4 months, and it started leaking again.
But resources here in Rawlins on stuff like this versus resources for this in a larger, different place, this thing's not a boat anchorage or something. So I just want to make sure it gets in a surplus auction or our auction here or whatever,
Correct,
advertised,
correct.
Tom, because people would drive here to buy that sort of thing to do exactly what he's talking about.
Correct.
What's your plan if you get a new one? What's the plan here? Because to me, it sounds like with gaskets leaking and stuff, very minimal hours on it. It just sat there, and that's what causes that issue. It causes an issue in just a vehicle sitting if you just if you don't drive it. So, what's your plan? Run it 5 hours or an hour or so a week, or 2 hours a month?
Go ahead.
He said earlier that they do run this every Monday for 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute run and then a 10-minute cool down. So
So,
it does run automatically once a week. So that's 52 weeks, 52 times a year. And it'll run for 20 minutes and then a 10-minute cool down.
Obviously, something's not right with gaskets in if that's the case.
Well, how old
Well,
is it?
it's 30
It's
years
as old as.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No, I
32
get
years
that,
old.
but I mean, cars run 30 years and it's the same kind of motor, right?
The Cummins trucks and things like that, yeah, some of them. We're having another problem with the generator, same issue at the water treatment plant. We were able to get some, they still service it, and we're still getting parts for it. It's a lot bigger than this one, of course, like 5 times bigger than this thing, but, so that's okay. It's just that we can't find the parts, they're not serviced anymore, and according to the manufacturer, he just told us it's time to get a new one. Those were his words to me.
Every car salesman will tell you, even if you bought one yesterday,
Yeah.
you need a new car, so.
Yeah, no,
Just
no,
so you know.
I take it with a grain of salt.
Well,
like that
I'm
idea.
just, I got sales resistance like no other.
Yeah, I agree, and I did my
Get rid
homework,
of
I
that.
went in and looked myself, and I told Nick, the mechanic, to check himself, he did, and came back basically with the same thing.
Absolutely like that idea.
There's some more pictures of the generator, emergency generator. It's not a big generator, but it's enough for all the egress lighting and things like that. It runs the pumps, in the event of emergency, the hydronic pumps. Here's the boilers. Now, these are about 15 to 20 years old. This one particular one is already gone, it's dead. We're having issues with it on electronics and other things. Also with the red on the side there, that's a circulating pump. That's got to be on in order for the system to come on and work properly. We have 4 of them, and it looks like on the plans there were supposed to be 8, and they looked like they were smaller, and they went with 4 larger ones later on. But they are starting to show signs of wear and tear as well. That is a backflow device that, as you can see, it's been leaking for a while. We try to get it fixed. This is an older system. I went for parts they don't have anymore. They said we need to upgrade to the newer model, and we haven't got it yet. So I was able to open it up, clean it a little bit, and close it, and put some silica gasket on it. It held up. That's been going on for about 3 months now, but the leaks are longer than that. When it starts getting mineral deposits, you know it's been leaking for a while. This is the CERT pump for our showers and sinks around the rec center, showing the same thing. It was leaking at one time. You can see the water stains from the unit above it that I just showed you. That's from there, and that's coming down and leaking on there. Here's another one. This is another CERT pump for, I believe that's unit number 3, which is part of the hydronic system. All that scale around there that's been leaking, that gas has been leaking for a while. Problem is, this is end of life as well. They don't have the parts. It's just basically go to the next upgrade is what they're saying. This is the other pump for the preheat for the makeup air unit. It's gone. It doesn't work at all. I found it. We had what we call a heat recovery system to save on our heating bills, if you will. Back 30 years ago, 32 years ago, they did it in such a way that it's really not efficient with the recovery systems that we have today. I don't know if we would need one like that. You can put one in there, but we're looking a lot of money to change that to a new system. My recommendation was this turn it into a preheat system instead of a reheat recovery. And they have one of these pumps, there's 2 coils, one indoors, one outdoor. And it captures the heat as it goes through the ventilation system and then brings it back in to this pump, which goes into a coil that's underneath inside the mechanical room. And then it reuses that heat to help temper the 100% outside air that's coming in for our makeup air unit, and this is for the shooting range, the indoor shooting range. So it helps it out. Otherwise, even with natural gas heat, we can't get the heater up above 70 degrees. If we keep it around 64 to 65, that's the best we can do with it. It's just an older unit, that's all. It's tired. There's the makeup air unit right behind that valve on the right. That wheel there, that blue, that's a gate valve. Behind that is the makeup air unit. Now the coils on the left, that's the one that's been had leaks before. I could see some repairs that were done, but I think they just closed it up, drained it, and called it a day. We have no heat recovery system anymore. So great idea back then. Just the parts they had back then weren't very efficient like they have today. Real reheat recovery systems. These are some more gate valves that have been leaking in the gaskets, as you can see. That's been done. They're not leaking now, but they were leaking in the past. But the problem is they never changed the gaskets out. That's an issue. Well, we can't even shut some of them down. I already tried to shut one smaller one, and I broke the handle off because it's frozen, it's seized. So we're supposed to exercise them once a year, and obviously they haven't been. So a lot of these are like that throughout this whole system. Now, if we have any pipe breaking or whatever, there's no way I can shut the water down. I have to go out to the street, shut the whole water off for the whole building. That's the only way this thing is gonna, if we have a problem, and it will happen, it's just a matter of time.
Are they greasable?
Grease? No, not these. These are a gate valve, basically like their small gate valve, same thing. They're put in correctly. I mean, that's the way you put in a gate valve, just like that. So no sediment gets on the gate on the bottom. So that's fine the way they did it. It's just that when you have leaks like that, you shut the system down in the summertime, and you buy new gaskets and put them in. Well, they're old enough now where I try to shut them down. I put a 4-inch cheater bar on there, and I was like, well, I can't turn it. Leave this alone. We don't need more problems than what we have. So I've tried to fix some of them, and I just can't shut them off without shutting the whole system down. And it might result to we have to shut the whole building down temporarily, get these in, then turn the building back on. Once they're in, then we have some way to shut it off totally, to isolate the valves.
I was just asking if they're greasable because they do make greasable gate valves that stay out of the body, obviously, of the valve and would not interfere with the flow of the water, right? And that's why I'm asking that.
These are not. I think when we were putting them in the beginning, I don't have a set of as-builts. I have the original blueprints, and what I can see, some of them are water damage. But we had like a solar system for heating collection and other things that were never put in there. There were some things that some boilers that were supposed to be put in were not. So I know these aren't the as-builts because what I see is not what on the plans. But I think about 85–90% of the plans I can actually locate, especially on the electrical side, which is still good, and most of the mechanical. Those water heaters that we're looking at are already time to change out. They're end of life. This is the second water heaters. Now these are for domestic water. This is not the heating hydronic system. This is domestic water for our showers and sinks around the building. That's the internal. You can see where some of the water's leaking on the dielectric fitting right there on the right, which they did good. They're supposed to do that. But you can see they haven't been maintained in a while. And
do they make a on-demand big enough for this instead
No.
of having a water heater like that?
To do an on-demand, we would have to put in probably 4 of them.
Okay.
Because they're only good up to 200,000 BTUs, and the GPM on there, where I think the max is 10. So we would, for the water we need for all the showers, and that's another story in itself. We can daisy chain them so they all come on at the same time to deliver all the heat we need. But I think they went. Now these are good water heaters. They're good. They last. But, you know, a little bit of maintenance, we might have got a little bit more life out of them. Maintenance really doesn't extend the life, give you more years. We're only allowed about 20 years for heat exchangers today. They don't do like old school where you had the old cast iron and we could clean them out and they last forever as long as you keep them clean. Those days are long gone. We're all about efficiency now in maintenance. And the efficiency, the maintenance will keep up the efficiency and allow us to get 20 years out of a heat exchange, any type of heat exchanger nowadays. So that's the number game now. It's no longer, we want this to last 40 years. I taken out units 50 years old, and the heat exchangers are still good because they're cast iron, they're thick, and they're stinking heavy. But these nowadays are aluminum, they're thin, they're only good for 20 years. Now, if you don't maintain that, you won't get 20 years. You might get 10, 15 years out of it. But if we want to get 20 years, we got to go on a maintenance program. And right now, we're having problems with that because we're doing a lot of repairs and putting new units. The new units that we have installed, we can do now a maintenance program on that. And that's the name of the game, is a maintenance program. And we need the funding for that, to do that. This is the exterior of the rec center, the panels. They're aluminum panels, and behind it is MDF boarding. We've had problems in the past with the leaks you can see on the left. Those are drains from the roof that come down, and they have come apart. And for some reason, when the building was built, either they were doing it quick or they missed it, but there's a few of our roof drains that weren't supported. So they're using cast iron, black cast iron, and black cast iron Schedule 8, it lasts a long time. But they're so heavy that the only thing that was holding them up with Fernco no-hub clamps, with metal clamps and the shield around it, that's all that was holding them up, so they were coming apart. And then they were causing leaks, so we took care of that. We lifted them all back up. Some of them dropped to literally 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So we had to use a floor jack and lift them up, connect everything again, and then support it to the ceiling like they're supposed to. So we've already corrected a lot of that already, but the damage is done, you know, so unfortunately. And that's not a maintenance, but that was an install from the beginning. So there was some things there that I was like, this one got away from them is basically what happened. The inspector missed, didn't catch it. I honestly don't know. This was 32 years ago when this happened. And, you know, it does happen sometimes, and unfortunately it happened to us. So that's where we're at with that. That's just another picture of that. Any questions about the rec center? Other questions?
No, not really. I just have one for overall.
Okay.
You know, and maybe I should ask after we get done with this, but we have a lot of buildings to maintain.
Yes, sir.
And we can't overhaul every building all of a sudden, so there has to be some sort of a schedule for inspecting and doing that. And part of my frustration, like with what we just looked at, is we spent a lot of money on stuff. We didn't take care of the infrastructure part, the most important part. And I mean, we bought the toys, we didn't take care of the house.
Absolutely.
And so I'm hoping that with your help, because you're fairly new here and whatnot, we can prioritize some of these things so that
Yes.
at budget time, we're spending our money on the correct things.
Yes.
Because there's no way in the world I would have bought new carpet in a building that had that problem.
Exactly.
I wouldn't have done it. We'd have fixed the water problem, then put the carpet in, you know, that sort of thing. By not having enough information in an organized manner, we're not making good decisions here. It's kind of embarrassing if really.
It is, and it also leads to the roof that needs to be repaired, because we had this winter past. We had a leak in the men's bathroom in the foyer there, the front entrance there. Found out it was leaking from the roof. And apparently, I guess in the past, someone tried to repair it. They hired a company, I was told, came out and painted the roofing on vinyl. Well, you can do that. However, you have to make sure that the paint, chemicals on that paint are not going to cause a chemical reaction with the vinyl, which it did, and it tore out layers of it, which we found out. So that was another issue that I pointed out to Lou, and that was something that just came up. We didn't know until after, and then we had the winter, and when I went up there, I go, why did it leak? And I was looking everywhere, and I went up there, and when it thawed out, I started noticing these spots. So I just got my finger and went like this, and it just started peeling back the top layer of the vinyl roofing. So this is no longer waterproof. So we have to do a quick patch and get the right paint on there for the roof, and you can do that. They have the EPDM, the black rubber roofs, the vinyl or PVC. If you get the right product for it, it won't cause a chemical reaction. They're made for that, but you got to know what it is. And I don't think the person who was doing it was a vendor, put it on there correctly. That was what I figured. Now I'm not looking to point finger, looking for blame. I'm looking for remedy. We need to fix it now. It's on my hands now. I want to make sure this doesn't happen when I'm out of here. In 5-6 years, God willing. So that's all I got to retire. So
Is it the weldable roof? You know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah,
they weld it?
it is. Yeah.
So do we have that in stock where you can, and the proper tools where you could patch it yourself or your?
We don't have the proper tools, but I have the tools for that. And I told Lou I got a lot. This is outside I won't talk about this in public, but I'm not afraid.
You are.
You are right
Well,
now.
what I mean is that I'm using some of my own materials, but I need this stuff done. That's why I care about my city.
Mhm.
Because I don't care about who did what. What I care about is that it gets done correctly and we don't have this problem anymore. And that's my job, and that's what I want to do.
What would it take to get the machine to weld it and to roll it and a roll of that stuff? I mean, we're
We actually
talking.
have a roofer in town that has all of that and the material. We can give them a call. The problem is, like we're having with other vendors, is getting them out here just to be able to do the work, let alone give us a quote on some of the larger stuff that needs to be done.
I'm just asking for like you though, and your crew, if they were to be able to, you find something like that and you can repair it, because obviously you know what you're doing with repairing that. If you have the tools already,
I
so
have the tools.
I mean, what would it take for us to get the tools as a city, a roll of that vinyl for emergency situations like you're talking?
Just ordering it online if that's the case, or calling a roofing company that sells the right product for us. So we got to make sure it's either vinyl or PVC.
Mhm.
It's not EPDM. We have all vinyl or PVC, and we can test it to see what it is, and we get the right product for it, and then we can have it. Problem is we have no maintenance right now other than me. We just hired one guy from Waterworks that came over to help, so he's with us now, but I'm teaching him. So it's not just manpower, but it's also knowledge of what we're doing. And there's nothing really I can't do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm confident in getting things done. Just don't have the time, the manpower to do everything. There's so much. A lot of little stuff makes a huge, it's a huge job, and that's where we're at, So I hope I'm not doing anything wrong by using some of my own tools to get some of the things done. I just want them done. I don't care who did. I just want it done. That's where I'm at.
Is this to the point where it needs a total roof?
Yes, we're at that point where we need a total roof. Now, vinyl roofs, PVC roofs are nice. They're easy to go on. They go on fast, but they only last about 20 years. Now, we live in a hostile region. We won't get 20 years out of roofs like that. We probably get about 15. And there's really no maintenance other than just making sure you don't.
Is that a flat roof up there?
It is what it's pitched.
Considered to be
It's
flat.
got parapet walls all around. It's flat, relatively flat, other than with crickets here and there for drainage. But bunch of roof drains.
And the drains are good?
The drains are
Because that's
good.
another bad problem.
The
with-
drains are great now. We've been fixing all the ones that we found that were bad. We spent a lot of time so it wouldn't happen again because it's causing internal damage. We're taking care of that. We still got some issues at the gym on the southeast doors. There's some problems there we're still working on. But that's a roofer needs to come and take care of that for us. That's the gutter system. When it snows a lot and packs, then it starts to melt. It wicks itself inside and comes down. 2 years ago it was like a waterfall, literally just a sheet of water coming down. And I was like, where's that coming from? And I was boggled by it. And I realized it came from the gutter system up on that roof, on the metal roof. So that's just.
By next budget time, you can have an estimate for that roof?
We already have one
Okay.
for those repairs.
Not the repairs, the roof.
No, I'm sorry, for the replacement of a roof, yes.
Yes,
And
okay.
also the southeast side of the gym, that roof to repair all that as well. That's just the repair part.
Because that's when we should take care of some of those bigger items, is at budget time.
Okay.
It's just, the way the cities work is, you know, we budget everything out as much as we possibly can, and then if things come up outside of budget, then we have to figure out where the money comes from.
Yes.
And so to take it from another department that might not have a deferred maintenance problem, do you understand what I'm saying? It
Yes,
causes
yes.
hard feelings. So
Yes.
as much of this as we can, we should handle during budget session for that reason, and that's why.
Okay. And forgive me if I'm ignorant on that, I'm not really into the money. I'm into, let's get it fixed.
I understand.
And you give me
Difference-
the money and I will fix it. Believe me, my goal is, by the time I retire, at least, we're not gonna have this problem no more. We're gonna be up to how it's supposed to be. That's my name on it, and we live in a small town, and they're, oh, Anthony, so what? Oh, yeah. That
Well,
knucklehead.
I hope we have the money, and it's a deal. You know, it's coordination, it's prioritization, and just getting things done in an orderly fashion so we don't suffer damages and
Yes.
setbacks and whatnot. And all of that seems kind of impossible at times, but we've got to quit doing the crisis management thing and do the scheduled maintenance and whatnot.
Yes.
And I like where you're going, but
Yes.
it is expensive to get there.
It is,
So
and I agree.
it's a give or
100%.
take, and so, you know.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I spoke with Lou and Tom about is we have our priorities, what we need to do, and then from there we can do a little smaller peripheral side, whatever we need to do to get there. But right now, because we are where we're at, we just need to take care of it as soon as possible. My concern is really that rec center and the police department. That's my main concern right now, and I think those are a high, and we really need to do something about that, for sure. I'd like to get it all, believe me, but I know we have to schedule things, and we can. There are some units that I can work on to prolong because we can still get parts for them. So I can service them, and we can get another couple years out of them. But there's some that I just can't get parts no more. We're done, you know, they're like, we're sorry, you know, and I, believe me, I can hustle, I can look.
We gave you a
And-
good 32 years.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, you know, some people I say, hey, you know, why did they wear, well, nothing lasts forever, but we got the lifespan out of it. 32 years, that's pretty good, you know, and
It really is.
on a lot of it, no, not all, some should have lasted a little longer, I get it. But sometimes we get a lemon, but if it lasted 20, 30 years, I don't know if I would call that a lemon. I just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just, you know, I don't know what else to say or how to call it, but I want to make sure, God willing, that this won't happen again. Not on my watch anyways, and we'll take care of it.
Deferred maintenance programs.
Exactly, and that's where I'm trying to get to, but obviously I can't with a lot of the a lot of the equipment that's here, especially the mechanical equipment, is end of life, and we just got to replace it. You know, there's just some things we just can't.
Sometimes it's cheaper to replace it than to fix it.
No, you're correct, and that's what some of the things I'm looking at too. Is it cheaper this way, and how bad do we need it now? And I'm weighing everything out before I even talk to Lou about it, so he'll know. The police department, not so bad, but it's got some issues. These units are 5-ton systems, rooftop package units. They're 25 years old. Some of the parts I can't even get anymore. So I can get aftermarket. I usually put OEM parts because they just last longer. I don't like putting inferior parts. It just makes everybody's job harder and it doesn't last. This is another picture of the unit. Here on some of these, you'll see in a minute, the roof's peeling back. On here, there's some damage on the coil. That's a condenser coil, those little grayish area. Here's some of the roof. You can see where the metal's at, and then it meets under. That's just kept coming off, and it's coming out. It's peeling back right there. So we gotta repair that. That's gonna seep inside on that. That's on the curb. Now, this is one of the major damages on here. That's all hail damage. And when they purchased these, they could have purchased them with hail guards, but they didn't. And I don't know why, but we could have. Damage is done. I try to, they have what we call fin combs to try to open them up, and that wasn't successful. What's gonna happen here is the compressor's gonna overwork, get hot. It's gonna take forever to remove the heat, because that's what removes the heat. So it gets absorbed in the evaporator coil and gets released through the condensing coil with the fan, the assist of the fan, and that's not happening like it should. So the efficiency was down. Also, it runs forever just to cool. And this one is actually working though, but it just, using a lot of energy basically. That's another shot of that. Now this picture here, that's the condensing unit. Up here, if you can see, let's see, you can see that grill on top on the right. And then here, it's missing the motor, and the wires weren't connected. And the problem was they put an indoor blower motor for an outdoor condenser motor. You don't do that because one has holes to breathe, the other is encapsulated and insulated. So here's the neat part. I did find the motor underneath the ductwork, so I was able to get it and put it together. So I haven't tried it out yet, I just haven't had time. I've been running around all over, so
How long has that been out of there?
The AC has been out for I think about 4 or 5 years, I was told. And when I came on board, I went up there to find out why. And I thought, oh, I found the problem. Yeah, right on. But they're telling me the compressor was bad. I checked the compressor, it wasn't overloaded. Doesn't mean the mechanical's bad, but I ran power. I pushed the contactor in and it hummed. And I was like, that's good news. It's a reciprocal type of compressor. It's not a scroll. So it was like, that reset worked. It's a semi-reset, and it was humming. And normally those things will start clanging once the valves go bad, but it didn't. So I thought, oh, well, it's not working because the fan's not working. And I looked at it and I go, this is a weird looking fan. What's going on here? And I didn't dawn on me until I opened it up. I go, oh, the wires aren't connected. So I go, I better check the motor. And the motor was all thrashed. So I pulled that out and I go, try to order a motor. And I go, what's going on here? This is the wrong motor. This is not right. So I went back up there, looked at it again, and found out, oh, they put the wrong motor in. So I got the new one. Thank God it was in a box, beat up, been there for a few years. You could tell the box was beat up, but the motor was still new. And it had a run capacitor, so that's great. So I put it all together. I just got to connect all the wires and make sure it's shorting out on the control board. And once I find out where the problem was, it was a contactor. So I got the contactor now, so I just got to put it all together. And I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that we'll have some AC, I don't know, but
By
it is
next
an
summer.
over unit.
About the time it snows.
The area is gonna be like, it's about time, Anthony.
Yeah,
I think she was ready to arrest me, pretty soon when she called me up in the office, I get a little scared,
yeah.
So,
I had one of
that's
these,
what I
they
found
put a
out.
motor in that ran backwards. So instead of blowing out, it was blowing in, which then
That's
it worked
bad.
at about 10% of, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then
that's not good
by the
either.
time it was over, the compressor overheated. and
Yes.
Yeah, so this might fix it.
Yeah, I'm hoping it does, cause everything looked great to me, but we had two contractors up there that condemned it, and I was just curious, and I told Lou, let me go up there and check it, please, and he said, go ahead. So I went up there and reported my findings. I said, no, let's give it a shot. We got everything here. We didn't have to pay for anything. It was already paid for like 4 or 5 years ago. Just wasn't installed properly. Now I want to see, hopefully we get a couple more years out of it, but that unit needs to be replaced. The interesting thing is the heat exchanger looks in pretty good condition. I couldn't get the way we test, we get a screwdriver and we punch it. And if it goes through, it's bad. If it doesn't, we got some years left. So that's a good thing, but everything else it's beat up, and it's a 5-ton system trying to cool down an area that only needs 1.5 tons to 2 tons. So it's oversized, that's another thing, so that thing cycles off and on all the time, and that's not good for the unit either. But I was surprised they lasted this long, so it's kind of, I guess, a testimony to the ICP systems, the international type of product that's out there, so.
So why would they have put a 320% larger thing in place?
I couldn't figure that out. My only thought was because the main floor has no AC, because everybody's using these little window shakers in there, and then they have ductless split systems, which is fine, but they only have one for one area, and they're kind of small because it doesn't really cool off. And I'm thinking they were gonna try and maybe run some duct down into that main floor to cool that off, but it never happened. Can we do it? I think we can, but the cost, gosh, who knows?
Major.
It would
Just
be,
moving
now, if I can
people
do
out
it,
of
it
the
won't
way.
look pretty.
Yeah.
It'll look like an industrial building, and it's economical and it'll work, but I don't have the time to do that. I really
Right.
don't. You know, that's a big job. You know, but that's the only thing the only conclusion I came up with, because even the whole area takes, that whole top floor takes, I believe it was 3 tons of air, and they still had a 5-ton unit for 2 of them. That's 10 tons of air. That's great for the whole building. I think would take care of the whole building, but not the first floor. And that was my only conclusion, because I did the math. I figured everything out. I was like, wow, why would they do that? But nobody knew, so I was like, okay, you know, we can get a smaller one and save money. When we buy one, we don't have to get a 5-ton system. We can go with a 2-ton and take care of
Freeze
it.
the
Still
people
get-
on the top floor so the second floor stays cool, huh?
Well, yeah, well, I don't know how that works. I just, you know, the only thing I can figure is that they were planning at one time to install some ductwork down to the main floor, which would make sense. Why would you put a 5-ton system? Because that takes care of 2,000 square feet. And there's 2 units up there, and one is 900 square feet, the other is like 1,200 square feet. So the 900 is, or it's less than 900, it's actually 7, I think. That's only like almost a ton of air. 400 square feet is 1 ton of air. So I couldn't figure, it boggled my mind. I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna try and figure this out. I won't, you know, burn some brain cells up there, but.
Well, and who
Don't
knows how
burn
many
brain cells to
rebuilds,
think the past over. right?
rebuilds or whatever's gone on over
Yeah,
the
so
years.
I don't know, but what I told Lou was we could go with a smaller unit if it's just for the top. Now, the main floor, if they want to do that, we can put in, nowadays, they actually have ductless split systems where you can put up to, I believe, 6 evaporator coolers on one unit, which is pretty neat, you know, but there's a lot of piping involved, you know, you have to run a lot of piping, that's the downfall, but you don't have to run a lot of ductwork either, so there's a give and take to that, pros and cons, but they work good.
Copper
ductless-
pipe, man, whew,
No,
it's
yeah.
outrageous
Very.
nowadays.
Very outrageous, yeah. $400 for 3/4 by 3/8 50-footer. $485.
Mhm.
Yeah, we used to get them for like $150, $75.
I used to buy sticks at 2-inch for $50, now it's probably 400 or something.
Yeah, no, it's very pricey. That's another picture of that unit. City Hall. Any more questions with the police department?
So basically there, it's just for now, a replacement of the entire unit. Lift one off, lift one on.
Yes, yeah, that's what I would do. I would like to change both of them out. That would be the best thing to do, because they're both the same age, they're both the same type, both the same model. Just the only thing different is the serial number, that's it, but.
Do you need both?
I would say yeah, only because the other one is just as old. They're both put in at the same time. So there was some work done where they must have had another rooftop package in it and went with this bigger one, because there is no curb there. It's not a down shot, it's a side shot. And they put some 4x4s, which you can do this on there. So that's what I'm thinking. There was maybe some type of cooling at one time, and they went with this bigger system because they were gonna try and cool down the first floor as well, and it didn't pan out.
That's why I'm asking if you needed both rooftop units or if it would distribute through just one at a smaller size.
No, there's a hallway and two parting walls and a hallway, so that one unit
Okay.
takes care of that. Now, there might be a way to do it. It would take a little bit of finagling and some extra duct work on top of the roof, but we gotta get some either Circle K or just go square insulated duct to put on the roof and then make the connections there and then feed one for both.
We would lose our redundancy is the one problem I would see with that. If it quit, the whole
Right.
building would be in trouble.
Correct. With this side, at least they can open up the offices and get some air back there, so it would help. It would overwork itself, but, you know, it's better than freezing, you know, so, yeah, that's the only thing when we do like something like that. We have one unit, we gotta make sure we're keeping up our maintenance. You know, the maintenance takes care of things that are the peripheral that don't last, you know, they're contactors, capacitors, pressure switches, things like that. If we have a economizer, we have motors, damper motors for the economizer. Those don't last forever. You'll probably get about 3-4 years out of them. You got to change them out. Contactor, you might get about a year or 2 years out of it. And they start pitting and getting black. We got to change them out. You know?
Do these bigger units filter the air like a home one to take the particles out to a certain
Yes,
extent?
it all depends on the type of filter we put in. If we can put a 4-inch HEPA, yeah, or 2-inch HEPAs, yeah. I don't really, the 2-inch HEPAs aren't that great, but the 4-inch HEPAs work pretty good. And you go with the 6, you can go with a 12-inch.
It's just so darn dusty here.
Yeah, and that's another issue. Like I said, we live in a hostile environment, and these units don't last like they're supposed to, because it's just, now we can spend more money and get units that we use by the beach. Like they have special paints on them because of the sea salt, and the air that gets to them, it'll deteriorate a lot of the outside of the machines, the fins, fans, things like that. So you can buy something, obviously you add another $5,000 to the units around there just because we live by the ocean. But if we can use something like that out here where it's, 6 months out of the year we got snow, and it can get pretty harsh, so, we can go that route, but it's, after 20 years, I say replace them,
Yeah.
because it's the efficiency, City Hall, these are the CERT pumps. So the one on the right is working. It's a little bit newer. The one on the left is gone. I did find a housing and a volute for it. The other volute on there was too big, but I'm able to take out the motor and the center part where it uses like a clutch spring on it. And sometimes those break, and we have extras, by the way, but that one, I found that I could pull that out and replace it for now. But we do need a backup because we don't have any. Now, I don't know if they bought the wrong one or they thought the same thing. Hey, let's just replace the motor and the spring. It's like I'm trying to think of the name for your car, your universal joint on your car, the shaft. That's what it's like. It's like that. And it
Have a
sits
rubber
on the
insert?
These don't. They have like a universal joint with springs, and they have 2 square holes where you connect the nuts, and then you just tighten them down. And then the motor turns that spring, and then that turns the impeller inside the housing. So that little portion in there, they have that style. Now, the rec center does have the rubber ones with the gears on them, and we can just replace them when they go out and stuff like that. But they are repairable. These are.
Like a Lovejoy? Is that what you're
Pardon me?
thinking? A Lovejoy? They're kind of like
This is
interlocked
not
gears.
a Lovejoy,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's the Lovejoys that we have. The Lovejoy couplings are at the compressor building at the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
We do have Lovejoys, but those are going out. That's another. Can we talk about that next time?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, there's other issues.
Those ones with the rubber, I always had problems with them working apart.
They do.
And then
It's a good little loose bit.
they tear the heck out of the rubber and
Yeah, and we have extras for some of those circulator pumps we use those for the boilers, those circuit pumps on the boilers. But everything else is all mechanical. That's the only one that doesn't have rubber. Everything else all metal and really rigid and strong, and that's probably why they lasted 30 years, with the others. But that's on there, and then that's a close-up of the pump. This is the good pump. That is about 40 years old, and it's on its last leg. That's here at the City Hall, in the basement. I believe that's almost 1 million BTU system. I don't know why we have 1 million BTU system in there. We can run like a 10-story building with 1 million BTU system for hydronic system. We're only running the second and first floor for the heating. This floor here and then top. We don't need that big of a system in there. Why they have it, I have no clue.
I had two 500,000s at the car wash, but we had floor heat in the winter.
Okay,
And that was the only time the other 500,000 one would kick in, but
and that's exterior, so that makes sense, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That makes a ton
a
of sense.
million
but-
BTUs is a lot.
Yeah, for in here, that, to me, that's oversized, probably by about 500,000 BTUs. Now, they have newer systems that would stifle those, and they're smaller, compact, and they're on demand, by the way. They work really well, and they're economical, and I suggested we put those in. We could put 2 or 3. 2 would be fine, we have a backup. We did that with the police department, and it works great. Or we can just put a regular system in there, like a dirt hammer or what have you, and just have a regular boiler system we have in the homes, or like we did at the police department, and those work good too. And we don't have to go with, like I said, I don't know why there's a million BTUs in that system, I really don't. But I noticed that a lot with some of the buildings that I worked in. They oversize everything so much when there's no need for that.
That brings a
They're
good
on
valid
commission.
point, though.
Yeah,
Do we have to replace it?
right, they're making money out of it. but
I'm,
I don't work that way, so.
well, I'm just telling you, that's what I always look at.
Yeah.
And the
yeah.
problem with heating and cooling, if you oversize it, is not good.
It's not good,
It's
correct?
not good.
It is a science when you come
Yeah.
to heating and cooling, and you oversize or undersize, they're both not good. They gotta be just right. You gotta do the math.
Yep,
You
yep.
gotta take the time and pull out the numbers and look at the correct way to put it in. But that's here at the city hall. That's another picture of it. You can see that red block, if you will, that metal. That's the motor I found that we can use. The motor and the impeller side we can use, or pardon me, where that gear's at, we can use all that. Now that volute that's on there with the flanges, we can't use it, it's too small. But the others are size, the bolts are the same and the diameter, so we should be able to take that off and put it in. Maybe that's why they got it, because they could get it like that, but you can also buy them separate as well, you don't even need that volute, so.
Yeah.
But at least we have one there. That's a picture on the other side. Those are the isolation valves. And in all honesty, I haven't even checked them to see if I can shut the water down, because I don't know if I can. There's a lot of things that I can't shut the water down, so I don't know. Sorry.
Man, that's some huge.
And that's just another shot. Now this is our fire suppression system. When I first got here about 1.5 years ago, one of the things I did about 6 months into my journey was to do the annuals on these for the fire life safety, and I found a lot of stuff out. This is one of them that it leaks. We got to replace that and repair it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it because it's fire life safety. So I got written up on it, but we got it up to date, and he didn't write me up on the repairs. He said, I understand you got to do these, no worries. But he wrote me up because they were outdated. They weren't up to date, the inspections. So we took care of that, and the green label's a new label. This week, Wednesday, Thursday, they will be coming out to do all our fire life safety for our suppression.
Are they
So-
annual or semi-annual?
Annual,
Annuals?
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what I thought.
Yep, those are annual, so that's a good thing. And then I know they're gonna bring that up again, which I will bring up again when I talk with Lou, so we can get that taken care of. This is the IT room. Now, bless their hearts, they put the system in when years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, and we only had a little rack. So we've been adding over the years, and there was no future for a larger size, which they should have done. My suggestion, if we think we're gonna get bigger on our electronics and our IT, we need to put in what's called a Liebert system. And that's a real IT air conditioning unit that's actually gonna cool, heat, and add moisture, humidity, and remove humidity. And we gotta have some humidity in these buildings. We can't have it bone dry because it kills our electronic boards. They dry out and they start to crack because of the heat. We need some moisture, at least 30% moisture and there's something. So the Liebert systems are made for that, and they do that. Now, they are pricey, of course, but, you know, I don't know how much money. I'm sure we got thousands of dollars invested in our IT system, and we gotta make sure they're at, now these IT guys, I argue with them, they like it at 68, we don't need it at 68, but they say we do, and I would arm wrestle them, I know I would win. But I tell them 70 is fine, 72 between that, but they insist they want it 67, 68. I don't think we need it that cold, but that's what they want, that's what I do, you know. So, but right now, we have a ductless split system in here, and it's just too small. It just can't keep up with the heat load anymore.
So
That's all.
when they say that they need it at 68 degrees, does this entire room have to be 68 degrees,
Yes.
or can you box in where they are and keep it at 68 degrees?
I've never
Because-
seen a unit boxed in where they are, because then we have to duct that out.
You go to the
So-
high school, and their IT room, the room itself, is not very large.
Mhm.
It has 9 million servers in it.
Really?
Yeah, and you
Which-
walk in
which
and it's
one?
the high school.
Well, the
here.
high school, okay.
Yeah, but the room itself is separate from the room it sits in.
Okay, okay.
And when you walk in that room, it's like 58 degrees.
Would
It
it
is
be-
super
would it be-
cold in there.
Would it be something that we could go in and enclose that around their room around it?
And then duct
instead of-
into
that
that
could- that
room
could be done.
Have the
specifically.
great big room, put it.
Yeah, because you're
Build a
trying to
small
cool
room
off
inside
this
That area,
huge space,
absolutely.
as opposed to, what do I need to be cool? Well, the thing with the blue wires.
Correct.
That's what I need
Correct,
to be cold.
correct.
I don't need anything else to be cold,
Right,
just that.
right. And we have an exhaust system to help get some of that heat out, so that's helping. But the unit's still too small. I think it's a ton, 1 ton unit. if
But a
I'm not
1 ton unit is 400, you said 400?
400 square feet, yeah.
Right, and that's not 400 square feet.
Well,
But that's not the heat load. You gotta consider the lights. You
Right.
gotta consider all the backup battery backups. and
Right,
then
so
other
all of
things.
that stuff, doesn't need light. It doesn't need anything, I mean, it's just an empty room. If you need to turn lights on, sure, go
We
ahead.
can.
turn- You know what I mean?
But you consider that when you're sizing, you always
Right.
consider the lights. That's just part of it.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I
No,
know that
that's
they
a
have a
great
separate,
idea. I
they
didn't
have
see-
a
I
room
didn't
inside
notice
of their
that.
room.
But
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
things do generate,
A lot of heat.
I mean, it's like trying to cool off a stove.
Yeah.
They're
Most-
hot.
Yeah,
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 you
that's
go in their
what it
room
is.
and you can tell
The-
that because
the
you
old
walk by the front of it,
courthouse,
it gets warmer
When
as
they
you
had
go
that
by.
big server
Yeah,
that was about capable of that, but that room was, they kept it cold, but I've been in there when the air conditioner would quit, they'd have to pretty much shut it down.
Yeah.
Because it would get so hot so fast. It was pretty eye-opening to me.
That's most buildings I've ever been in with any kind of IT stuff like that. It is
They
boxed,
just-
it's
yeah.
boxed in, AC'd right in that little area, because if the rest of the building's 70 degrees for winter time, they keep it
Correct.
50,
Yeah.
Correct.
55.
And that one has its own because there's no heat in there, so it's not too bad in the wintertime. The heat that was on there's a radiator, they just disconnected it because it wasn't needed because it was an IT room. So we just completely taken it out. And there's no AC down there anywhere for the lower basement. The only heating was that radiator, everything else, there's no heat down there. The other side, on that, they installed a ductless split system. It was just too small at the time because they just had a small rack. But now that we've grown and it's gotten a little bigger, we just need to upsize that. Or I like the idea.
is that the
we
one that's
can-
right out here?
No, it's in the basement.
The split?
Oh, the one out here in the corner?
Yeah,
Yeah,
is that
that's
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the condensing unit, yeah, that's it right there. And it's a little workhorse, it just keeps going, even through the wintertime, you can still see
Yeah,
it
it's-
moving. They last, they're meant to run,
Easy.
consistent, you can run fans like that, but, eventually they go out too.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, it was just small, they didn't plan for the future. And sometimes we look at it and say, well, we're not really gonna grow, we're a small town, but here we are growing. And we're trying to keep up with the 21st century, and this is what happens.
So
But I like the
definitely-
idea about the walling it off.
Well, your next
I
pic-
definitely talk to IT and make sure, see what kind of growth they're expecting before we walk it in and then have to remove a wall and make it bigger.
The next picture shows where you can block that off with that doorway right there and still have plenty of room to
Yes.
expand.
Well,
We
and
might
you're
have
not
to
gonna-
change, the only thing I can see that we'd have to change also is our suppression system. Because obviously they're using something that I think it's not argon, but they're using a system that just dissipates the air, just takes the air out. So whenever I go in there, I always leave that door open in case it does go off accidentally or whatever, I can run out. I don't want to asphyxiate, so.
But like these things, we might grow, but it's not gonna be 10 times what we have. It might double or triple the racks or whatever, but I can't ever see us growing to the point where it's more than double or triple of what we have.
Especially with technology today, everything's getting smaller
Yeah.
and more efficient. So yeah, I can see us, we need at least a 3-ton system in there. And we don't have it, we only have a 1-ton. I think, if my memory is correct, we only have like a ton of air in there. Which was fine in the beginning when they did it, that probably would have been enough, even without blocking it in, but now it's not.
Most of those systems are charged with argon though. So,
I don't know, I want to say it's argon, but I don't know if it is. If it is, then, yeah, all I know is it displaces the air and it suffocates the fire, so I know that I need to have that door open when I'm working there, because there's no breathing apparatus, so I keep the door open. So,
Is that like the Halon?
a halon system.
It's a halotron, that's what it is.
I had some of those, they
Argon.
kinda.
Yeah, we only have 2, one in the police department and then one here.
Mhm.
And they're both the same way.
Most of that's what you use on electronics.
Correct.
That's the fire extinguishers
Yes.
and stuff that they use.
It just displaces the air, yeah.
Okay, we better move on, 7:04. Sorry.
No worries, this is the depot. I just want to show you this here where the wall's pulling away. When I first got here, we started recording it, we showed Lou, and we just kept an eye on it, and it's moved about, I think, a 1/4 inch, almost a 1/2 inch in the 1.5 years since I've been here.
And where's that at exactly?
Right on the
This-
side of the depot.
This is the depot. This would be on where the entrance is at. It's going to be on the west side of the entrance.
That's the entrance.
And it kind of dog legs in, and there's another entrance there on the west side, on the north side of the building.
Okay,
And there's a corner there where the bathroom is at.
okay.
And on the foundation underneath, there seems to be some settlement over the years where the water's starting to go back. And then it accumulates there, gets in there, and then over the years it's pushed away. So we have some settlement, foundation settlement, and that portion where the bathroom's at, you can tell where it's starting to come out. Now, they tried to repair it before. It looked like they put horsehair or something in there at one time, and then just put, gallons of caulking in there.
Epoxy
But,
Gallons.
you
Well,
know,
that was an
Looks like
added
it's
on
been
part on the
repaired in the
depot, and
past
that's what the
because
problem
that's-
is. It's not tied into
Well,
the
I'm just saying with the
main
different
building.
bricks.
And
It's added on to it, so
See
it
what I'm
don't,
talking?
that's why.
that's what it
main
looked like,
building's
the color of the brick, you know.
Yeah,
it's-
everything.
They didn't anchor it
Yeah.
or something.
Because if that's where the bathrooms are, they originally didn't have bathrooms in there.
Okay,
That
then
was
that's what
added
happened
on
then.
when all that was put in there.
So that's an add-on,
Yeah,
right?
that's an
Because
add-on.
that's what I was just saying, the
Yeah.
color of the brick gives that away.
Yeah.
And stuff, so the
Showing
brick
his
ain't tied
age.
together, they laid the same or anything, so.
Showing his age.
Yeah.
And the rain
You can
goes
see
not
more where they
attached.
put
Exactly.
some caulking in there.
Oh my god.
Caulk fixes everything, right?
Yeah, duct tape and baling wires in Wyoming.
That's an easy.
And there's some more where it's starting to part a little more. And it's getting worse, it's not getting better.
Would that be something that we could check into the price, like them coming in, hydraulic lifting it up, they can do that real easy anymore.
We can do that. Yeah, no, they got some neat,
Slurry it underneath it.
yeah, they got some neat things nowadays.
They
that-
just
that
done it to a
helps
house
that.
on South Side last year.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't checked into that, we've been keeping an eye on it, and, I told Lou about it, hey, it's moved some more, and said, wait, we need to bring this up, it's time, you know, so that's what we did.
It'd be
At
nice to
first
see
it was
what,
superficial, but.
it'd be nice to see what the price would be the main thing.
I'll look into that, so I get a company out here, and that's the problem we're having, just getting vendors
Yeah,
out here. It's so hard,
Yeah.
it's so hard to get them out here.
Yeah.
That's another picture of it, and that's just some of the dug pulled apart, the drain.
I saw in the front, by the front doors too, some of the, like half the bricks have come off. I just wonder if we could find some old bricks and have those replaced. My uncle used to do that kind of stuff, and when he got done, you couldn't tell it wasn't,
What we thought about was going to the south side where nobody goes other than emergency, you know, pull some in the bottom, put them up there and just put something that's close to the color and then retuck them.
yeah.
That's what we thought about. We just haven't done anything yet, so we're just waiting. This right here, obviously the water needs to be redirected and retucked. So some of the mortar there, you can see.
So what shape is the roof on that now?
It seems pretty good. It looks like it's a newer roof,
Yeah,
tab asphalt.
They replace it quite regular. It's been replaced quite regular.
Okay, I've been up there and it looked pretty good to me. It didn't look too bad. There's an adequate ventilation and pitch, so it keeps pretty, other than the pigeons.
Yeah.
If we get rid of them, that'd be great. They make a mess all over. Rats with wings. Public Works, I have no more pictures, but Public Works, Community Development, roof is leaking. The units are aged as well. They're 20 to years plus. The shop heaters are 30 plus years. So those are all ready to end of life. We need to start changing them out. Now the BAS system, the building automated system that helps keep our systems going and helps me to read them where they're at and troubleshoot without going to check every unit out, which is what I've been doing. That older unit crashes like 2 to 3 times a week. I have to reboot, go out there and plug everything, back it back up, and then put everything back together. Then it starts working, and I go back to my office, upload it again, and we're good for a few days, sometimes a week, sometimes less. It just depends on how fidgety it is. It's an older system using a Java, first generation. The J boards on there are like 15 grand each, and they're archaic. They don't even speak to the old system. They only use the newer system. They're about 25 years old, I believe it is, somewhere around there, 20, 23, 25 years old, which obviously, you know, computer age, that's archaic. And so we got to bring that up. And that's what we did here at the City Hall. We came into the 21st century, updated everything with Distech, and it's been great so far. We haven't had issues, and we're getting all the little bugs now at the control side, programming side. So it's doing pretty good. We proposed to do this, I think it was a year ago, for the Police Department, Public Works, and Rec Center. We started off at the City Hall, and we haven't got there yet. But we do need that for the Public Works. Now, there are some leaks on the roof. It is also I believe, a PVC or a vinyl roof. Same thing, the units, they're all rooftop pack units, there's 5 of them, but they do need to be replaced. There is one at the Utilities Streets building, that one's a train. That one seems to be a little bit newer, so it's not too bad. And somebody wrapped some insulation around it for some reason on the outside of the condensing unit. I took it out because that doesn't belong there. It's got to be able to breathe. So I think they were trying to keep it clean, but you just once a year run a water hose through them and you're fine. And somebody put like a strap around it with some something, filter or something, but it's not there anymore, so we're good. That's really about the bid for the Public Works building, community development. Golf course clubhouse. This year, the unit went out, their heater, they have an old Resner heater, and it's a makeup air unit. They have the BAS system, the building automated system is also down, it's gone. We can't even use it anymore, so it's just dead. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on something we can't even update because it's using the Java first generation system to speak to it. So I just told them, I'll just go over there and check it myself, and so far it's been okay. We did lose the heating system on there, and that's for the kitchen. So we got to get that. They had a huge Resner up there. When they installed it, it was great. We could get it up there, and they built the roof around it. Now we can't get it out because there's no way to get it out unless we cut a hole on the roof for access and then get a crane, or we put one on the side of the wall somewhere where we can remove it. So when I was up there, and one of the first things I seen, I said, hey, how do we get into this equipment out when we got to replace it? Well, we don't, so I was like, how come they didn't have a roof access? Well, it's not there. Where are the plans so I can see if we missed this? And I can't find the plan. So right now, what I suggest is we can cut this Resner apart in pieces and take it out, and then we can get rid of it. And then we can put in a split system, heating system. There's plenty of room. We can use the same duct and save some money there and be more economical. We just got to put it in. We have the room for the electrical. We have room to run the line set and everything, the condensing unit put out back there with the other 3 that are there. It's not gonna hurt anything because there's already 3 there and those things are ugly anyways. I suggested we can buy one that has like the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers on there because you can buy those now. But we don't have to. You can put City of Rawlins if you like, but I'm just saying. I'm sorry, man, I just,
No.
no, all right. Denver, yep. But I think we can make it work if we get a split system and put it in, not a ductless split, a regular system with a furnace and get that old resonator out of there, but we'd have to cut it up in pieces and take it out. I don't know why they did it that way or why it lasted why it went built and passed inspection, but it did. So it's my problem now, and that's my solution is we take that out and put a split system in there, a condenser unit and a furnace, and well, obviously a evaporator cooler with that condenser, and then we should be good. We should be back and have heat for them. Right now, we don't have heater or air conditioning for them at all. The other side, there's a makeup air unit. They didn't put no cooling system. Normally, we put a cooling system in there, a swamp cooler or something like that. With that makeup air unit, there's never one in there. So they just bring in, they gotta turn it on because they're cooking. Well, in the summertime, it's drawing in 100% outside air. If it's 90, 100 degrees, that's what's going straight in there. So it's getting even hotter in there because they're removing the heat plus they're bringing in heat from the outside. So that's like an oxymoron. They just cancel itself out. My suggestion, instead of putting in a evaporator cooler for that makeup air unit, let's just put in the heating and cooling because the resonator's gone anyways and that cooling's gone. So that was for the clubhouse. Water treatment, any questions on the clubhouse, the kitchen? Water treatment plant, leaky roofs. We have to look into that and see there are some issues I was able to repair, but there's other leaks that we gotta look into. The 3 major roofs that are leaking in the rec center, public works, and water treatment plant. So 3 out of how many buildings we have, I'm looking at the positive.
Not bad.
Not bad, but we need to do something about it, really. I think that is it, and I'd like I said, once we get all this taken care of, we can get a maintenance program. But I just wanna advise you guys that a maintenance doesn't prolong the unit as far as getting us extra years. All it does is make it run efficient so that it doesn't have to work so hard so it can last 20 years.
Yeah.
We don't get more, if something's a 20-year-old machine that we got on a heat exchanger, 20 years, the manufacturer says after that, change it. We can get 20 years if we keep up the maintenance on it. And that's so important for all our equipment. And that's what I'm trying to get to that point. And we can do that with getting all this taken care of.
All right. Anybody have any questions or whatever? We're gonna have to take a short break for the meeting, but anybody have any quick questions? I have a bunch of them in the morning, so we'll let Tom know.
Yeah, and well, you know where I work.
Well, you work for Tom.
You know where to find me.
Yep.
Today I was digging a grave, so.
I felt like it, but, oh.
I was telling, can I go underneath, then you can put the coffin on top? It'll be good today.
Yeah.
That's
All
it
right.
for me. We're good?
Well, thank you.
I know it's an earful, and thank you for listening. I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you too. Thank
Sit
you.
on the back for a little bit? Or
Sure.
Need me at all, or?
Hang around.
Okay.
No.
You're gonna have to talk to my dog.
Okay, we're gonna take a 15, 14-minute break, it looks like.
I'm hungry. I'm good, huh? Just thirsty.
We took our dog with us to Missouri. That guy was amazing, man. Oh, usually he's in pain. Got lots.
Okay, there we go. Got a good enough.
Doesn't wonder,
You wear the red shirt every day now? That's what I'm saying.
That or we can You go like this.
have a moment of silence tonight. I'll talk about Ralph tonight.
Well, let's just stand for something.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I know, it's kind of funny. Him and I argue all the time. Now I know how he feels.
I bet you do. I'll be nice about it.
It's a systemic problem.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Comments of
How are you tonight?
that's what he wants to go fix.
How are you?
And if I don't know if this is long, we'd be supporting us out of the pockets. We could all have lunch. Yeah, feed everybody.
Still like to shut off.
Here, I'm out of this job, you're starting next week.
Oh, I'm hungry, baby. Are you the?
That was a lot of info.
Oh, you.
Yeah. I realize he's here to describe the multiple problems, but it would have been nice to have time to discuss solutions.
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my mom was
Tom may have some numbers that he's already gotten up. Just to, here's our priorities. I would think heat would be a priority.
I was gonna say, watch out, you're here from your job.
Exactly.
Those two things. But leaving buildings without heat is not good. Except I guess for the
Yeah.
Go low.
Earn one? Earn one?
I am good.
We're gonna put honey loo list instead of my honey red list. My honey loo. All the things I had to do around here. Not all for dead, dude. That'd be crazy.
Jerry Keeper.
They're doing grace today.
And I came in, but I didn't write on it.
What time? Today at 2 o'clock. What? Yeah, come on, good.
Let me get a walk downstairs. Hopefully that session doesn't last forever, except for there's 5 of them.
We never had to do that, so you have to be like if you're.
Hopefully some good news.
Exactly, it was also nervous, man. I was like, I didn't even care about the meeting. I was like, I care about these people right here. The funeral, it's like a big deal, Yeah. They say I don't want to mix it with carne asada. I don't know, if you guys don't like carne asada, it'd be more for us. Who likes carne asada? Oh, look at that. I like you. I make some good carne asada.
Do ya?
I do. Cody can verify, he's had some.
You
He's
didn't
had some.
share, Cody?
Did you smell it?
Did a little bit.
He always comes at the end, He smells it, he's like, oh man, is that carne asada? I go, yeah, he goes, man, it smells good. Then all the utilities come in and,
Oh,
what are you doing, Anthony? I go, come on, you can have some, They look at me like little kids that are lost.
oh.
Eat their bellies, they go, when they go. I gotta go make some for, Nick, Stevie and, Carly and them at the, they had asked me, where's our carne asada? I was like,
I got extra.
I could use some on the way back, boy. Oh, man. Got back at 1:30, I drove straight through like 1,200 miles. And I just, every town was like, should we stop? I said, I'm so cranked up, let's just keep going. And finally got to Cheyenne. I'm like, man, I can't quit now.
Yeah.
So as we got,
But
how it
that's the
is.
most painful
When you
time.
first come over, you first see Rawlins.
I know. It's a
I've
miracle.
actually had to stop at County 6, pull in their parking lot, and sleep for a minute before I could drive 4 more blocks. I've been that tired at times. And
Get out, walk
get out,
around.
walk
Just
around,
get
wake
out
up
and
around
run.
90 and the bar pit's a little
I've had to do
scary.
that
I
at
only did
Arlington
that
a
once.
couple times, yeah.
And anyway, we're driving and so you better start singing. 'Cause anyway, I think Debbie did the last 30 miles. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
She goes, I'll try. And I'm like, oh, if you just can, just pull over, but don't.
That's better
Don't
than
be
sitting
sleeping.
there doing sleep when you drive.
When we were coming back from Hawaii, we were coming back, and you don't sleep coming back, but we wanted to be home so bad. I fell asleep in the passenger seat, and I wake up and we're hitting delinear posts on the interstate, and I was like, Garrett. And he woke up and he stared right back on the road, but I was like,
We
were that
we
close
went
to
to
death.
Kentucky and on transmission. We get to Kentucky, almost there, transmission goes out of there.
I think he's the operator.
Tortoises.
I think he's the
So we
operator.
go to this dealership to rent a car and they, deputies were in, they said, here, just take this car.
I'd be like,
Out the door.
oh, that
Hey,
one.
what's your name? I'm serious. I said, you better take a copy of my driver's license, I got insurance and all that. Anyway, we hurried up and left, came back, and then we ended up, picked up the car, it was fixed. Well, it wasn't.
Sorry.
So the next thing, we rented Nissan. And she got lost in St. Louis, somewhere, I drove around for a couple hours, and woke me up, I'm like, yeah. Don't do that. You know, and I got us out of there because I didn't know the way. I just knew north, south, east, and west. I didn't know the way. So anyway, we took turns driving a couple of times. Anyway, I don't remember where we were, coming down a hill, and there had them like to stop erosion. It was,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it was real noisy. I sat up in the back seat and it was real quiet. And then it was real noisy. About the third one of those, I heard Josh go, Mom, your cruise control's on. Anyway, so we go to return the rent-a-car. I drove from there on. We were right up that.
You have no problem staying
So we
awake?
get there and I looked out at the rent-a-car return in. And I didn't look at it for a day. That's a grass curve. Anyway, I'm looking up, they go, how did it run? I go, real well, you know. Never
By
said a word
itself,
to it.
without a driver.
Anyway,
Well,
asked her about that.
You guys need to refresh.
We were there.
yeah. It was
And if
scary.
we would have done
I
that
didn't even log in either.
100 yards, we'd have, no question.
Yeah, that's how it was with us. He was
I
hitting
woke up.
delinear
Keep
posts and I was
drinking what
like,
I'm drinking, I'm gonna be.
and I knew if I startled him, he
You
could,
need another one?
Yeah, drink,
Yeah.
drink.
You're empty.
but I was just like, Garrett.
Would you like?
And I was like,
Well,
pull over, I'm driving.
Well, my
I
son's
don't even know my stuff, so
drives himself,
be in trouble.
so it reads
Yeah,
the
the
lines
lanes, yeah.
and it will move the steering wheel
Yeah,
to straighten you
Yeah.
out. It will read the person in front of
I
you
love that.
and keep you,
Yeah.
slow you down, so you're that far
Oh, I
away from
thought
it.
I was. I kicked it out. I'm sorry.
Sounds safe, but it was creepy.
It does feel creepy a little bit, yeah. I had that on my last car. I don't have it on this car. But I do miss not a lane assist, I didn't really like that, but the one where it backs you off
Yeah.
of the car. Kind of got used to that.
Yeah, but the lane thing is really nice, because if you do start going,
Yeah.
it's moving that, it's
up?
gonna move it for you, so it's not a jerk motion, and
Start over.
rather than going on
If you were
the
logged in,
rumble
you
strip.
have
Yeah, but we missed the rumble strip. We were at the delinear
a
post
couple
hitting.
minutes.
It was scary.
So it kind of seems like you have card water.
Okay, so
We need to have software to keep it from the guy having on the
Connected yet? Do we need to refresh?
we have to constantly review.
Yeah,
Yeah, I logged in, so I'm good.
yeah.
Not that I use it.
Meeting though?
Do you need power?
Oh, no.
I am right here.
You might have to do here, hold on this way.
I tried that. And that.
Does it show? You might have to do a control alt delete on it.
Hey Myra? Yes, sir. Can you give me one hand or two?
I can try.
Just rock.
Is yours the one making all that grumpy noise?
No, I get that. What I'm saying is it's true.
Oh, yeah, this is a
You don't have to treat the water because it's already treated for drinking water. It's coming from the drink, right? Yeah. No, I basically because we should.
I really wanted you to unfold this. Is that where you go? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
I get this. It's not the first time. It's so great.
Check.
It's just a
15 seconds to go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Steve, came up and-
Yeah, it's a 40-degree. We just need to.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Thank you. Perfect.
100%.
Are we ready? All right, I will call this meeting to order. It is 7:30. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Terry Wyckoff,
Here.
Vice Mayor Steve Sanger,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner, Councilmember Tanya Lumen,
Here.
Councilmember Bruce Seeloff,
Here.
Councilmember Jacqueline Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is I want to talk about Ralph Glenn for just a minute. Ralph Glenn was a councilman for a long, long time. Ralph was first elected in November 1984 and was sworn in on January 2nd, 1985, and served until January 3rd, 1989. Then he was elected again in November of 1992 and was sworn in on January 5th, 1993, and served until January 3rd, 1999. The last time Ralph was elected was in November 2000. He was sworn in on January 2nd, 2001, and served until January 4th, 2005. And during this time, he was elected to mayor in January 2003 and served until January 2005. During that time, Ralph was awarded this award, and I'm going to have it backwards so I can read it. And it says Ralph Glenn, Mayor, for outstanding service of the city of Rawlins, Wyoming. Nobody cares more about Rawlins than Ralph Glenn, and he has been a steady public servant. servant, and that was given by the Rawlins Daily Times, November 3rd, 2004. Ralph worked his tail off for this town and city, and was always happy to visit with you about city business, and I appreciate Ralph's hard work and his family for letting him come to the meetings and participate, because it's not easy all the time saying to your family, I'm going to go work for the city, and sometimes you're thanked and sometimes you're not, but Ralph just did it. So with that in mind, I would like to ask for us to have a moment of silence for Ralph Glenn. All right, thank you, and thank you, Ralph. The next thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Councilman Wells?
I move to approve the September 5th, 2023 City Council agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the September 5th, 2023 City Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is the consent agenda. Councilman Weisenberg?
I move to approve a consent agenda for September 5th, 2023, as presented.
I'll second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the September 5th, 2023 City Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is a public hearing. At this time, I will open a public hearing, and the subject matter is amending the ordinance number 6-2023 to modify frozen positions for fiscal year 2023 and 2024 municipal budget. Is there anybody that would like to speak to that during this public hearing? Seeing nobody, I will close the public hearing, and we will go on to the portion of our city council meeting that allows the public to speak. The public comment, this is a time set for the public to make comments to us about things that are not on the agenda. The time per resolution number 2C-96 is limited to 5 minutes. And is there anybody here that would like to speak to us about something that is not on the agenda? Seeing nobody, I will move on to the next thing on our agenda, which is the Community Builder Award for September 23. And I will turn the floor over to the members of the Rawlins Volunteer Committee.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I believe they're making their way up here to join me. Brief background, the Community Builder Award is a monthly award the city presents to local individuals, businesses, and organizations for their volunteer service, sponsorship, promotion of programs and events, outstanding service in the interest of the city, and for other contributions significant to Rawlins' quality of life. The Volunteer Committee would like to present the September 2023 Community Builder Award to Rita Sondergaard, and I believe she is here as well, and I believe Pam Thayer would like to say a few more things on her behalf.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I'm so excited to be able to present this tonight. Rita's been with us for a little over 10 years. She came in 2013, and she immediately jumped in, whether it was Boys and Girls Club, Carbon County EDC, Rawlins DDA Main Street, Rawlins Music Academy, the Senior Center, the Early Childhood Development, and of course her children's events that we've been so fortunate to have, on top of the things she does in other parts of the county. So I asked her some questions, and I said, so why do you serve? And she said, my mom taught me. She said, that's how I was raised, to come together as a community, to come and serve. And so she learned it from her mom. And then I also asked her what she appreciated about Rawlins, and she said the willingness of organizations to collaborate and to talk and work together. Key ingredients that make an engaged, vibrant community is listening. Besides listening, really hearing, and that's crucial, that there's two different things, and that coming together when you're listening and communicating. And I asked her what her she thought our biggest challenge was in the city, and she said coming to a consensus to move forward on maybe a specific projects. There's lots of things going on, but sometimes we need a little more consensus. And then I think the last is her hope for the community and to engage, just to continue to engage people for growth. And then one of her proudest moments that she's been in Rawlins, and immediately it was the kids' events, the Rudolphs and the I almost let her Hogwarts or
Train.
Frozen. I'm having Frozen.
The Grinch.
The Grinch. That was the very first one. The Grinch was so. And then I just, the other thing she said is just looking at the small steps, the beautification steps that we've made as a community. So I'll turn over the mic to, and she's donating her money to the Boys and Girls Club, but a few words, Rita.
Oh, well, I wasn't aware I was going to have a few words, but just wanted to thank you for this award. It is my pleasure, my honor, and my duty to do things for this community, because I am a part of this community as long as I am here. And so I look forward to doing more things in this community, in Rawlins, and countywide. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
We're going to take your picture. Oh, okay. Let's just scoot back, Rita.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can hold all of this.
Thank you, Rita. Well deserved. Okay, thank you. All right. Again, thank you, Rita. The place is, our town's so much better with you here. Thank you for everything you've done. The next thing on our agenda is the DDA Main Street and Hub reports. And I will turn the floor over to Pam.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. May I read you? May I use that real quick for me, please? I'm sorry. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Art Beat. That's coming up in less than a month, well, about a month. And we're super excited this year. We're going back to 2 days. We're going to kind of collaborate with a lot of things going on that weekend. Friday night from 4 to 8. We originally started this event with 2 days, and then we kind of took it to 1, and we're going back. And the reason for that is a couple things. Is there's a fun thing going on in the county. The Wyoming Food Truck Wars are going to be on Saturday the 7th, starting at 3. And so we thought it was a nice little connection, but also it's homecoming weekend. And we have always tried to stay off of homecoming weekend, but our volunteers have said, well, they go to the parade, and then what do we do till the game starts at 7? Or I had a couple volunteers say, we don't go to the game, we like to come to the parade, and then what do we do? And so we're thinking that this is a nice combination on Friday night to come down, kick it off with parade, and then just roll right into the afternoon and evening activities from 4 to 8, and then Saturday is 10 to 2. The other thing is we are still looking for artists, and we're super excited. Carbon County artists, Wyoming artists, there's a lot out there. So if you happen to know, just have them go to downtownrawlins.org, and there's a click right there for an application to become an artist. The artist, there's no charge for the artist to sell. They can sell, they can show, they can create that night. So if you have any young entrepreneurs or any, artists that have been around for a while, we like them all. So anyway, that's Save the Date Art Beat, October 6th and 7th. The next thing, super excited to talk about, and this is for the Business Innovation Hub. We are officially now announcing tonight the workshop, which you guys have a picture of. We have been working with University of Wyoming on some entrepreneurial, additional entrepreneurial partnerships. The first one, of course, is Impact Carbon County, which is part of the Impact 307 program, but this is a new one. This is a mobile workspace, makerspace, that is a trailer that's about 8 feet by 20 feet, and it's loaded with all kinds of STEM activities. And we had hoped to bring this in next year to kind of kick off the year when it was cold out and things to do in January, February, March. You get to hold it for 3 months. There is no charge with this partnership. That's super exciting. But they came to us and said, our 3-month application fell through for October, November, December. Do you want it early? And I said, as long as I can have it till like January 10th, because I want to get the kids that are either home from college or on Christmas break, and they said absolutely. So this thing will be delivered in about 2 weeks. We will keep the trailer for a while as promotional kind of marketing, but we will take 3 rooms in the hub and create different rooms and different coding, computers, sewing machines, forge machine. I mean, there's you can go on to UW site or Google workshop and see all the stuff we're getting. Again, we're partnering. We're going to work with a library and higher ed because they already are having some maker spaces. We want to just kind of do additional partnerships. We are going to open this at Artbeat and have a really fun activity that night. We will be able to, with the Business Innovation Hub, we have a small line item in their budget, which is, again, all from grant funding, and income from rent. We will have a small staff person running this, so it won't be an additional drain either on DDA's time, so we'll actually have that, and it comes with some what they call supplies, but until we open the trailer, we don't know what kind of supplies it'll have. So we put a $500 budget out of the hub. It's money from, again, tenants' rent, and to staff this. And we're excited because then during the holidays, we're planning, I already talked to the part-time person who's so excited to do this. She's like giddy, like I can do this on Mondays, this Christmas break, and I can have a sewing class, and we can make this and do this. So we're really excited to have this opportunity. So I wanted to let you know the workshop is coming to Rawlins.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so any questions?
No, but I have one more thing for you. This is from the council.
Oh.
And it's thank you cards for you and your board members for all the hard work that you do.
Well,
And I always forget to get them, so that's what I got Chris for.
Never had to remind him.
Thank you, guys.
Told him to set him here, but he didn't
Thank
listen.
you. We appreciate it, Pam. All right. The next thing on our agenda is city manager report and staff reports. And so, Tom, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Mayor and members of the council. I've got several items to report tonight. First is, as we all know, the Department of Audit this year has a new requirement that all public officials complete the public officer training, which has a lot to do with the financial side of what we do and different things. And I am pleased to inform council that I have everyone's certificate for all 7 council members, myself, and for Lynn. So we will find a place in the council chambers to hang that so that you can see your accomplishment there, so.
Thank you, Tom. You know, I just have to ring our own bell, but I think we're the first city to be totally certified in the whole state,
Yep.
and so pretty proud of that.
Yep, I think that was very good. Second of all is I have a time for a meeting with the town of Sinclair to talk water with them. We set on Wednesday, September 13th, and that'll be here at City Hall, and that'll go from 12:30 to 2 p.m. And what we would like to have is about 3 council members attend that.
13th at what time?
12:30.
12:30 to 2. And the mayor of Sinclair, Mayor Meeks, will be here with his vice mayor and with one other. So we should be able to talk about the water situation. As we all know, the contract with Sinclair still has about 20 years on it, but we know that the items in there are more time sensitive than that. We need to look at some different things and start those discussions now. So that will be the first meeting that we'll have with them, and then we are planning monthly after that to continue on the discussions that we have. I'd like to thank Anthony Zawala for the work session. Our next step, I believe, on the deferred maintenance is there are some items that we feel need to be done that are very time sensitive. So what we will do is bring that next council meeting as a budget amendment. And what we will do is prioritize things, and we will have a recommendation to pull funds out of the general fund reserves for now, with a plan on how to put that money back into reserves. Okay, so it'll be like a loan type thing that we will come up with, but it will need to be a budget amendment at the time to appropriate general fund reserves for those. But we will, like I said, have a plan as to how to work that out and to put that back in. So that'll be the next council meeting. Any council member that would like to go out and see these things in person, please let me know. We saw pictures of it and different things. I am happy to take anybody around at any time to get a closer look at those or any further questions that you may have on that. So just between now and the next council meeting, schedule an appointment with me. I'm happy to do that. For our work session for September 19th, Cindy Martinez will be here from the Wyoming DEQ, and we will be discussing the Brownfield grant and what we have with the Brownfield. We had a couple staff attend a conference in Detroit, Michigan, and they came back with a lot of funding sources, a lot of energy revolving Brownsfield. So we hope that we can build on that and have people here to let us know what we can do and the options that we have for our grant that we can do to capitalize on that as best as we can on our grant. Along with that, we will have our own kickoff for that Wednesday, October 11th. You want to write that down at 5:30 p.m. at the Jeffrey Center.
At what time, Tom?
5:30
Okay.
at the Jeffrey Center, and like I said, that'll be the kickoff for our grant and the different things that we have.
5:30.
One more date is Monday, September 11th. There will be a remembrance of September 11th, 9/11, at the courthouse on the south side lawn at 5:30 p.m. next to the flagpole. a staff recognition. I always like to recognize staff. We just have a tremendous work staff that I'm just so proud of. To let you know that Stevie Osborne, who's the supervisor at the water wastewater plant, has been selected as a panelist at the upcoming Connect to Woman conference scheduled for September 14th and 15th in Cheyenne. She will be part of the Innovation and Wyoming's Workforce panel, and she will be speaking at that.
That's awesome.
So that is a high recognition. We're just so proud of Stevie and everything that she does for the city. Last council meeting, I was asked about the street cuts in a couple areas of town. One was the Mountain View area, and the other is the street cuts that are on the south side that we have, that are the utility cuts that they had. And so I've asked Cody Dill if he would come up and give the council an update on that. So I will let him speak.
Honorable Mayor, Council, I just want to come and help answer any kind of questions. I'm sure you guys got a lot of them, and tell you the hurdles that we are dealing with this year.
The only questions I have is, you know, these companies come in and they're under contract to fix those street cuts, and the longer they go, the worse damage happens to those streets, and winter's coming, and I'm getting really nervous, as is a lot of people. What's going on?
So I've been in contact, I got in contact with Chris Miller from Black Hills Construction, or Gas, and he got me in touch with NPL, the company that actually did it for him. Now, from last year's talks with him, NPL was going to find a contractor to do the work, but over the winter time, they switched superintendents on the projects, and the new superintendent wasn't informed that they were to be doing that. I got in touch with him today, and he's actually currently looking for a contractor that can do the repairs for them. But he asked if the city would be willing to help us step in if they cannot find a contractor, because they are really having a hard time. I said we can do some of the asphalt work, but any of the concrete work that's been cut out has to be done by a different contractor. We really don't do that at this point. I would like to be able to in the future, but we just don't do it right now. So I said if he can't find a contractor that can come in and get it done, we would just kind of step in and see what we could do to get those things taken care of.
Was there talk about how they would reimburse us for that time and
that's
whatnot?
another
Because
thing
that's
I
a
talked
big
to him
deal.
about. Yeah, because I said that there would have to be some way to do some invoicing, and I told him the way that we do our street cuts and our invoicing usually goes to the landowner. And since they are not, and they're a contractor in town, we'd have to set up some kind of financing. Now, I know in the past Black Hills has done work in town, and there has been some kind of way to bill them. And we have a billing system for our work and asphalt and everything else. We already have that set up when we do street cut permits. So that's already available. I just want to make sure that we get paid if we do step in and cover NPL's work for them. But he was very adamant that he really wanted to try to find a contractor. He was very sorry. It had kind of dropped between the cracks between two superintendents that were working on this project between last year and this year. So, but they have been great to talk to. They are staying right on top of it, and I hope to hear from him hopefully this week if he can find a contractor to come in and help us out.
I think they're obligated to, and so I just don't want to go through another winter with.
Yeah.
We're going to end up with one of the streets, a brand new street, and every time it gets water and freezes, it just is going to be a problem, Cody. We have to. It has to be. They have to get it done.
Since I've been here, this has kind of been a weird year. We've had more street cut permits issued for new sewer lines than I've ever seen, and more water breaks. So we have approximately about 40 holes throughout town, ranging from different sizes that are open, and working on them currently every week when we have a full staff, full crew, weather permitting. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go around installing asphalt correctly. And I give it to my crew. They've been doing a great job with being short-staffed and dealing with everything else that they have going on, be it street sweeping, painting lines for crosswalks for school just starting up. That pulled them off for about a week and a half of good asphalt weather to make sure the crosswalks and striping was done around the schools. And so it's just that I hope that we can find a contractor to help take care of that or alleviate that section of town so that we can keep focusing on what we have on our plate already. And we
I
don't
just
add
hate to see you guys stop what you're supposed to be doing and doing
Yeah,
to go do somebody else's job.
yeah.
And then what you're doing go, you know,
I completely understand if they can't find a contractor, and we are really wanting to get it done. I'm with you 100%. I'd rather have them do it, but if the council wants, I would step in as a city and try to help out get those things repaired.
well, I don't want to see it go another winter, but are you being too nice to them or what?
I can put a little bit of heat on, but I do understand contractors, them having a hard time getting a contractor in town. But
Can't fill it, don't dig it. I don't
Yeah.
know what to tell you,
yeah,
you know?
They should have had a contractor when they signed the paperwork on it.
yeah,
Not trying to, you know,
Yeah.
you're the messenger, not trying to give you a bad
yeah, and I
time,
believe
but-
at one point that they did. There was their contractor in town, but since then they've moved on, and I think that kind of fell between the cracks too. So I think they might have had one at one time, but something happened there, and then they just, between the two new superintendents, it fell behind on getting another one lined up.
Not our problem,
So,
it's theirs. Don't let them make it yours.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Okay, will do.
I just want to say thanks. They started filling in street cuts and potholes and stuff like that in the Mountain View area. It was like the next day.
Yeah, when I heard the question come up, I knew that was definitely a section we were gonna hit. It was on the list. We're trying to jump around town and hit a little bit everywhere. If we focus in one area, we'll spend the whole summer in there. There's enough potholes, low areas, street cuts, water breaks in certain amounts of town that we could spend a summer in as a maintenance department, especially with, the crew that I have right now. They're working their rear ends off, but being shorthanded, if one of them is gone one day, be it taking a vacation day, or they're sick, or we have sweeping to do. We put 700 tons of sand on the road last year. We have one sweeper, the other one's broke down. So trying to clean up the streets and make them look good, when you pull a guy and start having them sweep, that means there's no asphalting being done. Also, the hurdles of all the rain we had this summer.
I think you guys have done a
Really
great
good.
job with what
So-
with the cards you've been dealt, just so
Yeah.
you know. That's my opinion, and I think most of us.
I think, yeah, the only concern I had, and I had talked to Tom about this, is, and I don't know how the billing of the street cuts go, but when a residence has a street cut, they're billed for that particular cut in their, for that property, and if we're billing them and not getting it done, I don't want that complaints to keep piling up. My main
We
concern.
don't issue any bill until it is complete. And if we have to maintain it, we'd maintain it, but we do not do any billing until the street cut is completely done. And then we put man hours, materials into it, and then it gets put to the landowner, the property owner. So,
Anybody have any other questions or comments? Well,
Sorry, I just made left.
I'll call them. Thank you,
okay,
Cody.
yeah, anytime, always available.
Okay. Yeah, I'll call them tomorrow.
Okay.
Hey, Tom, back to you.
Okay, one last thing I'd like to mention tonight is it was asked at the last meeting about giving people opportunities to work off their fines through community service. We are still working on that. I wanted to make sure that I brought that up tonight so that you know that is still on our priority list. We will work through the details of that. We have not had an opportunity to bring that to a conclusion, so.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, that's my report.
Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is direction from City Council to the city manager. Does anybody have anything that they would like to talk to Tom about? I have one item, if nobody else does. It was brought to my attention that we have a drainage problem down by the Rawlins Glass Building and in that area. And I would like to, Tom, set up a meeting with Reed that runs that business, yourself, probably Cody, I don't know who, to look at that and talk about what are some of the remedies about that.
Okay,
Because it's been kind of a problem this year with all the extra rain.
okay.
So,
Happy to do
okay,
that.
thank you. Does anybody have anything else? Seeing none, we will go over to new business, which is 10A. And I would entertain a motion. Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the ratification of the fiscal year 2023 airport infrastructure grant for the Rawlins Municipal Harvey Field Airport in Rawlins, Wyoming.
Second?
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the ratification of the fiscal year 2023 airport infrastructure grant for the Rawlins Municipal Harvey Field Airport in Rawlins. Is there any discussion? And I'll tell you about this because most of you may not have known about this, but what it is the FAA will come out with these grants that are great. I mean, it's wonderful, but they don't time them with our city council meetings. And so I was asked to sign this. I did sign it, and then I sent it to our attorney, which was the order that it was supposed to be done in. And there were some questions about it, like in this grant, there's a lot of conditions about reporting monthly, semi-yearly, and yearly, and such like that. And so I didn't know the answer to that, so I called back Dean Parker, who is with the airport board, and the oversight of that grant, and it's almost always this way, but I wanted to make sure, the oversight of that grant is being done by their contractor. And so that's in the contract, much like with us and our pipeline. So that's being done, and of course, it's our job to make sure that gets done, but that was really the only question. Was that correct, Panita?
Yes.
Okay.
That and no, that was to make sure that there was somebody that was going to be overseeing the reporting requirements as well as providing feedback to our council and probably also the county commissioners on the status of those reports and findings.
And I did talk to Sue Jones, who's the chairman of the county commissioners, and we talked about it in length about making sure that we got the right report so we stay on top of it. But anyway, that's what that's about. Any questions? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is item B, which is the engineering firm, Councilman Wells.
I move to approve the request for proposal RFP from WLC Engineering Surveying and Planning to survey and design a new water system for the Glen Addition in the amount of $72,250.
Second.
There's been a motion made to approve the request for proposal RFP from WLC Engineering, Surveying and Planning to survey and design a new water system for the Glen Addition in the amount of $72,250. Is there any discussion? And I will turn the floor over to you, Cody, to tell us
So the proposal is for a full survey of the property and design of a new water system that would be metered with new fire hydrants throughout the area for better safety of the lots and barns that we have there. And it's pretty cut and dry.
Okay. Any questions?
I just want to make sure this says full scope, others said survey only.
Yes, there.
And the price is like,
Yeah, I know.
it's crazy that it's that amount compared to other amounts.
There was a lot of different kind of surveying work that other people were offering, and then I think it's just not being from here and not.
Was it needed surveys though? I guess?
Yeah, it was part of the RFP was a full survey, so we knew everything about the piece of property, telephone poles, all utilities, creeks, and basically the survey of how the new system was going to be and where everything is going to be at.
Okay.
Any further questions? Comments? I can't see you back there.
When Mr. Dell's finished, I have some questions for the council, if you please.
Well, I believe he's finished, but we're getting ready to vote on this, so if you have questions on this, now's when.
Okay, I'm up. Barb Durrell. If my questions, if this isn't the right time, I'm sure you'll let me know, but I do know that there was a bid posted for work done to be done on the water system down there at the Glen Addition. I appreciate that. But I'm also wondering, are you guys trying to get something done this year, next year, what the timeline might be?
It's not gonna be this year, I can tell you that, just because I don't know what it's gonna cost. I never buy anything unless I know what it's gonna cost, and I have a feeling this is gonna be something that will probably not be done in the next year, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering, what is your timeline? If you're looking at 5 years?
We don't know.
Out?
There's no way to know until we get this done, but it's not gonna be,
Okay, but
it's not gonna be
you're taking a
soon.
long-term view?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is there anything else that you're interested in changing down there besides upgrading the water system? I know Mr. Dill mentioned the telephone poles, such as adding additional fire hydrants.
Yeah.
Any other type of upgrades you're looking at down there?
Until that's surveyed and we know what we have and don't have, I don't know if we can answer that question. Do you know what I mean?
Right, I'm just trying to look, as an owner, I'm just
Sure.
trying to see what I need to be looking at.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you what this thing is gonna be. Now, we wouldn't have to spend all this money, but I don't know what they're gonna come back with as far as our total needs and price and all of that, and then that will help us decide where we can go get the money at.
Well, that was leading to my next question is, do you have budget funds allocated to do some actual repairs?
I don't believe so. I think we budgeted $50,000 for this area, and we're spending 72 right now, so
So 22 will come out of the general fund?
somewhere, well, it's 72,000 will come out of the general fund.
We got the 50,
Well, we put that aside.
I see.
I mean,
Okay.
you can't spend it twice, darn it, but, I mean, this is not gonna be fast. I'm not gonna lie to you. I could tell you something and make you all happy and everything, but it's a step-by-step process. And the first thing is to decide, where are we at and where do we need to go? And then we
Right,
put
and
a price
it's not
tag
about me
with
being
it.
happy, it's about me just being informed.
Well, and
Did you guys have a work session? I mean, this kind of caught me a little bit off guard. I was all jolly, yes. But did I miss a work session or something that
No,
preceded this?
no, this is just what came from some of the other conversations that we had, and finally we're just getting to this point.
Okay.
But to get to this point, we didn't start on it yesterday either. I mean, this is just a long process, Barb.
Right, well, if it started 30 years ago, then I'm up to date. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, and I would love to tell you exactly how it's all gonna flow
Don't
and
need to
go,
know that.
but I can't.
Yeah, I
We
don't
don't
need to
have
know
that
that.
much. That's why we're doing this study, so we can better answer some of those questions and know ourselves.
Right.
Councilman Weisenberg?
I think the only thing I could really add to that is just try and stay informed with your contacts that you have within the city as soon as the survey and the design is probably done. I would imagine they're going to come to us and have a workshop that you know, you're more than welcome to come to,
Sure, I
and so we
appreciate
could
that.
see that stuff.
Yeah, I just thought if you're actually gonna put money out, that maybe the timeline had estimated, or had escalated quite a bit.
No. Well, until we get a price, I don't know. You know, and then the other thing is there are certain places you can go for certain grants, and we don't know where all those are at this exact point either. So until we know kinda, you know, are we needing more light poles? You know, what are we needing here? Then we can go to the people
Well, see,
that
when you
help
mention
with
light
that.
poles, that's why I wonder if this is more than just water. If you're looking at a big picture situation down there.
Well, we need to know what's down there in order to know where to go.
So you might be looking at a bigger picture.
Well,
Okay,
we're
we'll leave it at that.
we're not gonna plan to make a birthday cake when we can only afford a thimble full of frosting, you know what I
And
mean?
don't have
So-
the candles, I get it.
So
Well, I appreciate the
we wanna
information.
do what we can do, and
appreciate
we're
the
finding
information.
out what that is.
And I would advocate for more hydrants down there. I sure liked hearing that. I think that would be a
Yeah.
benefit. Okay, thanks for your time.
You bet. Thank
Do want
you.
me to sign your sheet?
No, I got you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Anybody else before we vote? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is a resolution to amend an ordinance. Councilman Wells?
I move to approve the resolution amending ordinance number 6, 2023, authorizing the city manager to lift the freeze placed on 2 street positions and transfer available budget from 2 recently vacated positions.
I'll second.
Been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution amending ordinance number 6-2023, authorizing the city manager to lift the freeze placed on 2 street positions and transfer available budget from 2 recently vacated positions. Is there any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me specifically what are the 2 vacated positions?
Certainly, yes. So, as we know, we have 7 frozen positions through the budget. We have 3 police officers, a DDA assistant, a fire engineer, and 2 from streets. Since that time, we've had a parks supervisor, okay, that resigned. And so what we are proposing is to have one fill that as an interim and then freeze the position that they would vacate. So there was 1 parks technician, and the second one would be in the human resources director position, to where we have advertised and would like to fill the human resources specialist position. And then we would take the remaining budget that we had in the human resources director position and move that budget over to streets so that we could unfreeze those 2 positions.
How is it, have you advertised the HR technician yet?
We have, yes, and we have interviewed for that. We are waiting to hear back on an offer that was made.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is an executive session. Thank you, Councilman Wells.
I move to go into executive session at 8:17 p.m. per Wyoming Statute 164405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice, or dismissal of a public officer, professional person, or employee, or to hear complaints or charges brought against an employee, professional person, or officer, unless the employee, professional person, or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness, any or all other witnesses in the matter being investigated. Following a hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session on matters concerning litigation to which the governing body is party or proposed litigation on which the governing body may be a party, to consider acceptance of gifts, donations, and bequests which the donor has requested in writing be kept confidential, to consider accepting or tendering offers concerning wages, salaries, benefits, and terms of employment during all negotiations, including meetings of the State Loan and Investment Board, to receive education regarding and to interview investment managers.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to go into executive session. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
Thank you. Let's see. I just had a stupid thing. Oh, it's
No, I just have to make her go run out. Should make it less than too long.
Hi. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hi there.
Did you miss my messages? I didn't know.
Oh, did you?
Definitely.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hi.
another story.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know where we are on the agenda.
You know what, I think let's start with y'all. And go through. Yeah, so come on.
Okay.
You'll get a call.
That's okay, I was gonna say something, but the reason why. It's so Cindy's coming, she's gonna have that. From the work session. So then we're gonna do that, we're back on the 11th. That morning, 1 to 4:30. It's us, PBC. Yeah, and then 5:30 or 4:30, 5:30. Then we're gonna roll in, ready to feed everybody, and then roll in.
Stairs like down here.
No, okay, just to let you know. If you need, and also, I hope you want him to come on school. And I hope you're Yes, I will. So, perfect, okay. Okay, perfect, and then we can make the announcement if it's approved. Okay, thank you. All right, you guys have a great evening.
You okay?
I'm good.
Hi. Susan. You doing good? Good, like 24 hours, like, Canadian, I think that virus. I know, right? Have a good evening.
Yep.
Hi.
You are very wily today.
I know.
Get your brown and gold.
Hi.
What do you got to?
Oh, I got pretty good.
All good.
Good.
Everything cool? So you gotta go home now, or you gotta wait and work 2 or 3 more hours tonight? It's all midnight.
Spent about 10 minutes about this today. It's like, well, I had all these things all week.
I have a vague recollection of something
Weekend,
like
and they're built up, and then
I'll
I
get
just
firm and I'll see. We
didn't
need
get
to
a
go.
chance to do it, so
Yeah.
I'll probably be here. Is there- Okay, yeah,
I saw something burn.
okay.
I do too, Fire chief, there's something wrong.
I don't have it on my calendar.
This is one we canceled from last time, we rescheduled.
I think it's at 10 or 11. Isn't the board meeting at 11 and the regular meeting starts at 12?
You're right.
Do you smell something burning? Is it outside? It smells like legit.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, everybody, all hands on deck. Okay.
Yep. I'll see you.
That's good.
How's everybody else? How's your son in South Carolina?
We survived the first hurricane that turned into a tropical storm, but yeah, they said it was, crazy rain with Wyoming wind. It was actually down really by the time it hit them,
But
but
still,
yeah.
do you smell it? Do you think it's inside? Might be outside, but I'm not sure. It smells like structure fire. Do you know what I mean?
Just as long as it's not this building.
It's like burning trashy smell. It's more of a trash smell than
Alright, I'll let you guys investigate burning the smell. I'm going to. Y'all have a good night.
See you.
Good to see you.
I'll go with you.
No,
I'm gonna hit the can and then I'll see you outside.
no, I can smell.
Say what?
Yeah, I can smell it.
I can't hear.
I said I can smell it.
I'm gonna go out with Alan and look at it.
Oh yeah, it smells like something's on fire, but like in a nice way. Right?
check.
What's underneath here?
That's the plant, records room. But I'm wondering-
wish this wasn't here, because I would have put them all
Well, you
there.
can put them up high.
We just read, we just put stuff,
What's this picture here?
these all have to stay. They
That one
really-
does, it's that one.
Yeah, they all do. When they were putting the TVs in, I had to redesign a couple things, and they said this has to stay.
Okay,
Is that all right?
I don't know what else to do.
So the other question is, I'll come out here.
You can always put them down here. You can get 7 of them.
Yep, I could do that. So the other question I have. you speed them up?
Oh, I can.
You okay, Curtis?
That's what I'm asking. Like, it's getting really crazy up here.
Little headache. Little headache.
What's that word? Bequeathed?
That was it.
I'm gonna. That's the word in here.
Yes.
I'll do that one. I guess I can. It don't matter.
Yes, because when we were going over it on Wednesday, he asked about it.
Yeah, that could be somewhere else.
Simmer down.
Hurry up, before she sits down.
Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to come out of executive session per Wyoming Statute 16-4-405 at 9:36 p.m.
Second.
Been a motion and seconded to come out of executive session at 9:36 PM. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Oh, I shut my computer. Yes.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. Was there anything discussed in executive session that anybody has objections to? Seeing none, we'll go on to the next item, and this is, I will ask for a motion. Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to accept the donation bequeathed in the amount of $20,000 for the city of Rawlins, Wyoming Animal Shelter.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to accept a donation which was bequeathed to in the amount of $20,000 for the city of Rawlins, Wyoming Animal Shelter. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
Councilman Weisenberg.
I move to approve the executive session minutes of August 15th, 2023, regular city council meeting as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the executive session minutes of April 15th, 2023, regular city council meeting as presented. Is there any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Yes.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas.
All right, thank you. Unless there's something else to come before this body, yes, ma'am.
The work session for the next meeting for the 19th is at 5:30 and not at 6.
What's it about?
It is Brownsfield.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have a lady from Cheyenne from Y.
Mrs. Martinez,
Yes.
or Miss
She will be here.
Martinez,
So
I don't
she's
know.
asked to have it a half hour early so she can go back to Cheyenne. and
Yeah.
look.
Does that work for you, Chris, or not? Well, if it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. Yes, ma'am.
Would you like legal day?
What, I'm sorry?
Legal.
Not necessarily, I don't think.
My work session.
I think we'll be good. Thank you for asking, though. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn this meeting, and the next meeting is September 19th.
Don't steal my cord. Just
And,
keep it off yours.
I'll be there. All right.
It's right where you left it, I guarantee you. Right, you find it right there.